Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my Game Boy and my Game Boy Color collection. So in one of my previous videos I showed my Game Boy Advance collection, so I thought it would be a cool follow-up to show you guys my Game Boy collection as well. And much like with my Game Boy Advance collection, all my Game Boy games that I have are all from my childhood, so I haven't really picked up any new ones in the recent times. But the very first thing I have to show you in my Game Boy collection is of course my Game Boy. So this is actually a Game Boy Pocket. A little bit smaller than the original Game Boy. This is actually my brother's Game Boy Pocket. I use this one a little bit back in the day, but I mainly use my Game Boy Advance SP, which I showed in my Game Boy Advance video as well. But I don't really use this one now either. I still use the Game Boy Advance SP, but it's still cool that I still have a Game Boy from my childhood, and I thought it'd be cool to show you guys in this video. And then also in my backdrop, I just have a couple of Game Boy cases just so it looks cool. And then we'll go ahead and get into the games. So the very first game I have to show you here is Disney's DuckTales 2. So I believe this is a port of an NES game. And of course, there's a DuckTales 1 also on NES as well. This is a Player's Choice version of DuckTales 2. The Player's Choice, if you don't know, it's just like a best-selling, or it lets you know that this is a best-selling game. And then usually they reprint it at a lower price point for like popular games. So this was, again, one of the more popular games for Game Boy at the time. I believe this is published by Capcom. I'm not really sure who the developer is, but I guess Disney Interactive put their branding on this as well. But this is a very fun platforming game. If you guys have never seen DuckTales, very fun platforming game. This one is no exception, and definitely a lot of fun to play. I didn't really beat it when I was a kid, but I wasn't very good at really any game when I was a kid, so never really got through it, but definitely have to revisit it in the future and actually beat it. So that is DuckTales 2. And then the second game we have here, we also have another platforming game here. So this is the Smurfs. This one is also a Player's Choice. A little bit surprising, but I guess you can, I guess it makes sense considering how popular the Smurfs were back in the day. But this one's made by Infogrames. But very fun game, much like with the DuckTales 2 game. I never actually beat this one. I remember the very first two levels of this game very distinctively. The first one you're in like a forest, and then the second one you're on like a river. It's kind of like a water level. You're riding a log. But I never got very far in this game. Like I said, I wasn't very good as a kid. But it's actually, I would say, an underrated sort of platformer for Game Boy. Or I guess not underrated since it sold so well, but you might not think that it's a good platforming game, but I definitely recommend this one. So that is the Smurfs. And then the next one we have here, this is also another platforming game. So I believe this is actually the first Ren and Stimpy game that they ever made. So this is Ren and Stimpy Space Cadet Adventures, or maybe it was actually like the first like licensed one that they made, but this one's made by THQ. This one I didn't play quite as much, or I don't remember quite as much about it. I can really only remember the beginning of the game because Ren is or he's like cooking hot dogs or something, and then Stimpy cuts the line, so he has to go save him. But other than that, I don't really remember too much about this one. Definitely not as good as either the Smurfs or DuckTales 2, but still a decent little platformer if you like Ren and Stimpy. And then the next couple games that I have there, I guess they're my like big hitter games, if you want to say, or more well known. But this one I have here is Super Mario Land. So this is probably one of my favorite games for Game Boy. Spent a lot of hours playing this one. Much like the other ones, didn't get very far in this one either. But very unique Mario game, a 2D platforming Mario game. A lot of different characters in this particular one. A lot of cool levels. There's a cool sub-level in the game. And then, again, a lot of different cool characters, like you got this Tiki guy, and then you got like Sphinxes in the game, but very neat, and they're definitely very fun, and you should definitely have it for your collection. And then the next one I have here, this is The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. So I believe this is actually my first exposure to The Legend of Zelda, either this one or Ocarina of Time. I want to say this one was before that, though, but this one, obviously this is a pretty long game, so I don't remember beating this one either. I did buy the remastered version for Switch, and I've spent a lot of time playing that one. It's definitely a lot of fun. The thing I remember the most about this game is at the very beginning, there's like a claw machine part where you have to get like rupees, and then you have to get a Yoshi plushie out of the claw machine. So I always thought that was fun because I used to like claw machines as a kid. I mean, I still kind of like them now, but a very cool part of the game. And then also something I really enjoyed about this game was attacking the chickens in towns, because if you attack the chicken enough, they'll actually come and swarm you and attack you. So I always thought that was a cool thing. But definitely a very fun Zelda game, and definitely recommend it, even if you may not think that it's good, but it's a good adventure game on Game Boy. And then the next game I have here, we have Pokemon Red version. So this is the one with Charizard. There's also Blue, which has Blastoise. We actually did own that one back in the day. But I'm not sure what happened to it. I think like it broke or something. I think my brother told me that it had broke. So we ended up throwing it away. I don't know if it was fixable, but a little bit sad. This one actually doesn't save. The prong inside that holds the battery is broken. But I'm pretty sure you can solder it back on. I'm not really sure. I don't know if you guys know if you can actually like solder the prong back on. Let me know down in the comments. But this is the first generation of Pokemon, obviously. Very fun. If you play it nowadays, I guess you can say it's like a little bit clunky or not as like streamlined as the newer Pokemon games are, but definitely classic in its own right. So that is Pokemon Red. And then the next one we have here is Pokemon Yellow. So Pikachu, or I guess it's Special Pikachu Edition. I just call it Pokemon Yellow. But this, I think, came out like a couple years after Pokemon Red and Blue. But the main attraction to this one is that you get Pikachu from the beginning, and he can actually follow you around the game. Where like the other ones, like your Pokemon are just in your party, but you can actually see Pikachu and interact with them inside of the game, which is a pretty cool feature. Again, you don't need to keep him, but again, main attraction of the game. And very fun first generation of Pokemon, and definitely recommend it if you like the first gen of Pokemon. And then we'll go ahead and get into the Game Boy Color games. So technically this is a Game Boy Color game, which I didn't actually even know, but this is Pokemon Silver. So this is the second generation of Pokemon. So we have Lugia on here. And then there was also the other version of Pokemon Gold as well, and that has Ho-Oh on it. This one I've actually been playing more so recently, and definitely a lot of fun. A little bit better to me personally than the first generation of Pokemon. But I actually got this one to be able to save. I was able to replace the battery on that. And then same with the yellow, I actually did replace the battery on that one as well. So it's kind of cool that I can actually still play them nowadays and actually still save them or save my progress. So that is Pokemon Silver. And then the next one I have here is Dexter's Laboratory Robot Rampage. So this is a Game Boy Color game as well. This is made by BAM. This is also like a puzzle platforming game. Don't remember this one quite as much. All that I can really remember about it is that it's kind of like weird. Not really what I would think for Dexter's Laboratory, but you're like going around in like escalators or like elevators, so it's a little bit weird, but not too bad of a little like platforming game or like a puzzle game for Game Boy Color. And then the very last game I have, this is actually probably one of my favorite Game Boy games, also a Game Boy Color game, obviously. This is the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, made by EA. I have very fond memories of Harry Potter back in the day. Harry Potter kind of grew up with me, so I was getting older, so did the Harry Potter movies. So my parents got me this back in the day. You would honestly think that this is a platforming game, but this is actually an RPG game, and actually a pretty good one. And definitely spent a lot of time playing this. There's something I remember in this game specifically. I think it's like a mini game, but you like toss like goblins and stuff around. It's pretty cool. But like I said, it's a very cool RPG game actually, and definitely recommend it. And has a lot of depth to it. And you might not think that from coming from a Harry Potter game. But that is everything that I have in my collection. Let me guys know what was your favorite Game Boy game, or what is your favorite Game Boy game. Thanks for watching, and I just want to say thank you guys for 100 subscribers. It really means a lot that you guys come and watch my videos. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.